weeks pass, the therapy begins to show its effect. The shock and stress of war are starting to wear off. For these men are blessed with the natural regenerative powers of youth. Now they are living less in the past and more in the present. Sometimes they think of the future. The war years must be put aside and the responsibilities of peace must be considered. A man might open a filling station or a hardware store, or he can buy a few acres of land and raise some chickens. He might even go back to school. Visitors' Day. Now the men resume their contact with the world outside. These are the people they are coming back to, whose lives are bound up with theirs. Without their understanding, all that has been accomplished in the last few weeks can be torn down. With it, their return to life can be doubly swift and sure. Classes in group psychotherapy continue. The men are thinking of themselves in relation to society. How will they fit into the post-war pattern? How will the world receive them?
You fellows have had an opportunity to be home with your families since you've returned from overseas. Have you noticed any change in the various members of your family toward you, and their reactions toward you?
Well, I found out after 4 years of absence that it only took me the second day to be really relaxed, and I was right chummy again with my dad, and talked about the old neighborhood and the new changes. I don't know, it surprised me.
Do you feel that your family has to be taught how to treat you when you come back?
No, absolutely not.
How do you want to be treated by your family?
The same I was treated before I went to the service. No difference.
You don't want to be treated any differently?
No.
I was talking to one man, and I said, what do you think of us fellows that come back with psychoneurosis anxiety state? And I said, you can see that we're not crazy by any means. And he says, well, before I come out here to see, he says, my first impression was like in Bellevue. He said, fellows from the last war, they're completely maniacs. He said, that was my first impression. And I'm wondering if, the great percentage of the people are going to be like that when we get out.
That is a common concern among servicemen who have developed nervous conditions during their stay in the Army as to what the public is going to think about them. Undoubtedly, there will be people on the outside who won't have any understanding of the condition, who may think of it as being a rather shameful condition. That's why we're having an educational program, trying to educate the public into understanding. Unfortunately, most of you fellows have gone through some very severe stresses in the Army. Stresses that civilians are rarely subjected to. In civilian life, you can avoid serious stresses. If a civilian, the average civilian, were subjected to similar stresses, he undoubtedly would have developed the same type of nervous condition that most of you fellows developed. All of us have our so-called breaking point.
And a survey outside showed that civilians, on the whole, were more nervous than soldiers. On Park Avenue, for instance, where some of your richest people live, most of the patients are people who suffer from nervous disorders, and if the doctor won't give them a pill, why, they'll go out and say, well, he's not a good doctor. So therefore, they're given pills, and they take them at home. They take these pills at home because the hospitals are too full. If the hospitals were empty, they'd be in a sanitarium or so forth.
Haven't been through none of these discussions like the other men have. I know that we have learned the basis of how we've gotten nervous, some of us through combat, and some of us by not being in combat. And I think, and I'm sure that we have a better understanding of our conditions, and I'm pretty grateful of being here at Mason General Hospital like a lot of fellows are. I just so happens I couldn't walk, and they made me walk. I couldn't walk when I arrived, and I was here 24 hours, and they made me walk. I feel pretty grateful for getting my limbs back. But that isn't what's driving that. It's that I know that when I get out of here, and the other fellows do too, we're going to try our best to make ourselves as best we can. And we feel more confident to grasp this nervous situation that's come about us. And we want to show people that we can do things on our own on the outside. Whether we've been in a hospital for nerves or mental, or wherever we've been, whether we lost an arm or a leg, that we can be just as good as anybody else. All I want is that they give us a chance to prove our equality like they said they were. I hope they keep their promise. That's all I hope.
Would you make it a point to tell your employer that you were a psychoneurotic?
Well, if he's an intelligent man, which most well-known employers are that own large concerns, why, he's going to react the same as any other normal human being would. He's going to say it's absolutely possible. And the man right now looks all right. I'll try him out.
But you may run into employers who are not that broad-minded or intelligent.
Yes, sir. And I'll sell myself to them.
How about you? Do you have any plans about jobs, or do you have any fears about getting a job? Or
Oh, Phil, what's wrong? I've got my job waiting for me, sir.
you have your job waiting for you. I think it comes down to this, doesn't it, that most of you fellows feel that you ought to be honest with your employer, that you have nothing to hide, nothing to be ashamed of.
Yes, sir.
Isn't that the general attitude?
Yes, sir. That's the way all of us feel.
Your time in the service was not entirely wasted. You have learned a great deal in the service. For instance, a great many jobs and tasks that you've learned to do in the service that you have had absolutely no contact with in the past. You've also learned to work in groups, something that every soldier learns to do very early in his military career. This definitely will be of much value to you in your future civilian employment.
The weeks have slipped by fast. The first strangeness of hospital life has become routine. Sometimes a man learns something new. The ranger always did want to play guitar. The days begin to seem long. There's the old healthy sound of belly aching in the air. Spinach. Spinach again. And how about a good movie for a change? And how about putting some ice cream in the ice cream soda? No longer is a man shut up within the lonely recesses of himself. He is breaking out of his prison into life. The life that lies ahead, offering infinite possibilities for happiness and sorrow. How does a man find happiness? Is there a secret to discover? What is the mysterious ingredient that gives joy and meaning to living?
You know in the Bible where it says, man does not live by bread alone? Children don't grow up well without safety and confidence. If that wasn't in one's childhood, in growing up, you could say, now there was something missing during all that time. And the next question is how to supply it. And it does need to be supplied. Not all of the learning in all of the books is half as valuable in getting over nervousness as to find someone that you esteem, that you can learn to feel safe with, where you can get a feeling of being accepted, of cherished, where you get a feeling that you are worthwhile and that you are important to someone. You could say, the feeding that you didn't get, that's something more than bread, when you were little, you still need to get it. You still need to be fed acceptance and to find the safety. In other words, knowledge alone is not enough.
Nobody got it. Get up!
past. What about these men? Are they ready for discharge? How complete is their recovery? How about the boy in right field?
I just didn't care what happened to me.
How about the kid at bat?
Foxhole was covered by dirt. And I was covered up for 29 hours afterwards till they found me.
How about the umpire?
Neither. Get my words out.
You're out. Go on. Batter up.
How about this kid? How about him? Are they well enough to be discharged? That is for the doctors to decide at tomorrow's boarding. The answer is yes.
Men, this is your last military formation. Today, you're returning to your homes, your families, and friends. Many of you have been looking forward eagerly to this day. But remember that when you re-enter civilian life, on your shoulders falls much of the responsibility for the post-war world. May your lives as civilians be as worthy as your records as soldiers. Good health, good fortune, and Godspeed.